Hi all. So I was thinking today's video I will give you an in action of Adobe Experience Manager. So I am Veena this side. Today's topic I thought why don't we go and check the Assets API. If you go to the official documentation of Assets API, you can say that it's an API provided by AEM for create, read, update, and delete operation on digital assets. So what does that mean? So without logging into AEM or from outside of AEM, you can actually handle assets by writing it into AEM, reading it from AEM, or updating it or deleting it. In this session I would actually want to show how we can do that. So basically I'll be going to use curl commands along with Postman to show you how you can use these API to update your assets or delete your assets or create your assets in AEM. Okay, so let's see how we can do that. Before doing that, let's scroll down a little bit and see what all features do Assets API provide us. So the latest Assets API even provide you the feature to create content fragments. That part we can see later. In this video, I am only concentrating on updating the digital asset, which are images, PDFs, text, and whatever which comes under the digital asset. Okay, so if you scroll down, you can see that these are all the features provided by the Asset API. You can retrieve a folder, you can create a folder, you can create an asset, you can update a binary, you can update metadata, create rendition, update rendition, create a comment, copy a folder, move a folder, delete a folder, asset or rendition. So what I am going to do is we will go and take each of these and do a hands-on and see how exactly we can do that. For the same, I will be using curl commands and Postman. Why? Because some people may be good with curl, some people might want to see how it works in Postman. So for that, I will be showing you in curl and Postman. Okay, let's go ahead and see how it is done. Okay, for now, I'm going to upload assets to my author instance. Maybe I have a system which is outside of AEM and I am going to push assets into my author, and from there I want to replicate and push it into publish. That can be, one case which we can do, right? So what are the prerequisites for the API? We have to go and make sure the CSRF filter has support for post, put, and delete. Okay, so let's do that. I will go to my system console. I'll go to my config, mgr, and then we have to see granite CSRF filter, and we will make sure we have post, put, and delete methods allowed. Yes, they are allowed. Before going in and checking each methods, let's first see the API service document, which as per the document should be available in under /API JSON. Okay, so I'm going to go and go here and say /API JSON. So when you hit /API JSON, you can see that the API provides Assets API, Screens API, Screens DCC API, and Content API, right? So this is the service document for the API. Now for the assets, you have assets.json API. So when you click here, assets.json this provide you all the functions for handling your assets, right? When you scroll down, you can see that there is a post method support, there is a delete method support, there is a put method support for, and add folder, update, delete, add fragment, right? So these are the features available for the Assets HTTP API. Now let's see how we can retrieve a folder listing. As per the documentation, we have to do a get call on whatever folder we want to retrieve. So here, this folder should be directly under /content/temps. That is, when you say /assets.html, whatever folder you are seeing here, that first level will go here. So for example, let me just try to do a get call on any folder which is available. So first I will do it via Postman. So what I'm going to do is I'll copy. So my first folder which I want to retrieve, let's say training -65. Let's simply hit and see. Obviously this is not going to work because it's my author instance. It will not authorize the user to get any information, right? So if you see, you can see that it has responded with a login page, which obviously means that you need a login access to access this API in author, right? So what I'm going to do is we will actually give a basic auth, and I'm going to give admin, which is my local password. Obviously everybody's localhost password, right? So I will update the request. Now we will just send this request, and you will get a response which will say you have whatever that training folder, and there is only one asset inside that folder, and that named asset.jpg, and it's a rendition. So that's the only asset available in that folder right now. Okay, so let's go and check what is there in that folder. So I open, yes, there is only one asset which is named asset.jpg, and that is exactly what is showing here. Okay, how do you do the same thing via a curl? You open our CMD, then we will post a curl command. So I have just copied some curl commands for my ease of use. So from there, I'm going to get the curl. So you will say curl, whatever your ID and password and your local host and API assets training. So I want to get information of this particular folder. So I'm just doing a curl command on that, and you can see the same information getting displayed here, right? So that's how you do a retrieve folder information via a Postman and curl. Now let's go ahead and see how can you create a folder. So when you scroll down, you will get more information on how you can create a folder using Assets HTTP API. So the folder which will be created will be of type sling ordered folder, and this is how the request should be sent. So let's try this out. So let's open our Postman. So what I'm going to do is, let's copy paste our Assets API. Now we are going to create a folder which is a post request as per the API, correct? Then whatever folder, so I already have a folder called training 65, and inside that I want to create a folder called test folder. Now since this is my author instance, I have to provide a login, and so I'm giving it admin, and since we are trying to create a folder, we have to give some title to that folder. So we have a a content which needs to be passed on the body. So I'll copy that JSON. Let's just beautify it a little bit. I like little beautified content. Okay, so let's see. Now here I am just going to give some name. It doesn't matter, just since we are just trialing it out, right? So okay, pretty much we have everything. Before sending this request, I want you guys to make sure that there is .json appended on your request, because you are actually sending a request to create a folder. So you don't need a folder to be created by test folder .json, right? So if there is a .json, just remove it and you just send your request. When you can scroll down, you can see that you get a 201 created. That means your folder is created under this particular path, and your parent location is, for me it's training 65 folder, and you can see that it's created 201. Now what will happen if we send the same request once again? That's we try to create another folder under the same folder with same name. So it will give you a 409 conflict which says that the folder already exists. Now let's go back to our AEM instance and see if this folder got created. So you can see that our folder got created. We will see the same using a curl command. We will just copy whatever our curl command we have with us, or you can type it out if that's what you like to do. I like to copy paste, so I just copy pasted it. So I just took this and I'll go back to this assets and I'll just take the and I'll paste it here. And one thing we have to make sure before sending this request is that your JSON should always start with a curly braces. So when you copy it from your documentation, just make sure you remove that extra apostrophes. Okay. So I just send the request. Now if you see, you get a 409 which says conflict, which says the folder already exists. So if you remember, we actually created that folder via Postman. Now to make sure that our curl command works, we will just change the name to test folder -new, and we will just send this request. I'm not going to change anything. So you will see that the folder got created and we get a 201. If you refresh, you will see another folder getting created. So that's how you create a folder using curl command. Since we created folder, now we can go ahead and see how we can create an asset using this API. So basically we will post the binary data from our local file system into AEM using the API. I don't have any images saved in my folder. So let's go and get some images from some stock files from web. I will just open, I like this image. We'll just save it. Let's see, image 1. This is nice. I will just save this. And let's get something else. This looks good. I'll get that also. Okay, so we have 3 images. So we have 3 images with us now. We will go back to our Postman. So I want to upload the assets in my test folder. I want to upload an asset and I want to call that asset test asset 1.jpg. Okay. Now we'll go back to our documentation and see what rest is required. So our content type will be image PNG. So image PNG. I am going to my headers. I will add content type and say image PNG. And then we need a data binary. So from Postman, we have to send a binary, right? So here we can actually select the file, whatever we want. So I will select my binary and I have to make sure login is set. Let's send a send request and we get a 201 created status. So that means our asset has been created under test folder. So let's go back to our folder. So our asset has been created under this folder. Let's see how we can do the same with the curl command. I'm going to copy my curl command and I'm making sure my folders are correct. So I have pictures saved, pictures. Let's say I want to upload image 2. I'll call this asset 2 and let us send this and see. So that gives us a 201 status. We will go back and check. See, the asset got uploaded. So it says test asset 2. The next one is updating an asset. For updating an asset, we have to use put method. So let's go back to our Postman. Let's copy paste this asset. So we will basically update our test asset 1. So for that we will send a put request. We have to make sure our logins are set. We have to add our content type and that would be anything, JPEG, PNG. We have to put the binary. Let's say I want to update the test asset 1, which right now is this, to a new asset, which will be this. So I'm going to do a send and it says 200 OK. That means our asset has been updated. Let's go back to the folder and see. See, our test asset got changed to this. That's how you update an asset. Let's do the same using a curl command. I'm going to copy and paste my curl command, and before sending this request, I'm going to do a little modifications on the request to make sure I'm sending an update request. So first thing, the request should be a put request. Now the second thing is that which asset I want to modify. So let's say I want to modify test asset 2. Right now our test asset 2 is this image. I want to modify or update that with a new image, a new binary, and that particular new binary is going to be under my save pictures folder, and let's say image1.jpg. So if you go here, this is image1.jpg. So we have updated our request with all the necessary information. We will just send this and see if our asset is getting updated. So we got a 200 status. Let's refresh this and see if our asset got. See, it got updated. Our binary information got updated. Next in the API is updating an asset metadata. So we all know that every asset has a set of metadata associated with it. You have to send a put request for whatever asset you want to update the metadata, and you have to send the metadata information in a JSON format. Let's try that. Okay, so I'm going to open my Postman. I will say I want to update this particular asset. I'm going to send a put request. I'll make sure all my login informations are there, and my content type will be application JSON, and in the body I'm going to send my JSON information. I'm going to give a title, forest. That should be meaningful. Okay, so I'm going to send a metadata called DC title along with, let's say, a DC description. This is a wonderful image. Cool. Now let's try sending it. Hopefully we have all the required information. Let's say sending it. It gives us a 200 OK. 200 OK. It says that the metadata is modified. So as you can see, the title has been changed. Okay. Now the description also has been changed to a wonderful image. Now the only problem I find with update metadata asset is that even though we send a DC title update, it never updated the DC title. Instead, it updated the JCR title. Okay, if we go back to the description, it just mentions something like if you update any property in the DC namespace, the API updates the same property in the JCR namespace. The API does not sync the properties under the two namespaces. So I am not sure why that is working like that. I surely think that's a bug because I was never intending to update my JCR title, but I surely wanted to update my DC title. All that property which we gave got updated in your JCR content instead of going and updating in the metadata. Okay, now let's try this. I am going to give a metadata title here. Okay, I mean a DC title property. So if I go back and check my metadata, my DC title has been set as test. Now what I'm going to do, there is a small hack which I actually read somewhere that if you want to update the metadata properties, you can just add an additional key metadata and then you can give a DC title as let's say this is my DC title for image 1. Okay, so I just gave that and I am going to send another request, hopefully thinking that this will actually update by my metadata node. So I'll just refresh this and I'm going to check the DC title. My DC title is not updated. Instead, there is a JCR title property which is getting updated and getting added. So that means if you go and edit this properties, you will never see that DC title which you send via the API, but instead it is actually getting updated as a JCR title. I surely doesn't know why that happened. So I actually even tried giving title that went and sat as a title. So even if I give DC title, JCR title, whatever, it is always updating the JCR title. Surely seems to be a bug to me, but I don't know why this was never addressed or fixed. Maybe if any of you have an answer for that, I'll be happy to know it. For now, my conclusion for metadata update of an asset is that it is pretty much limited. It doesn't give you a wide features, at least for the DC namespaces. It just updates the JCR namespaces, not the DC namespaces. I'm just going to skip few of this, like the create asset rendition, update asset rendition, the comments and stuff. You can give it a try. Pretty much straightforward as what we have done. Before wrapping up, I'll just quickly do some copy, move and delete actions so that we know what and how it is done. First, let's copy a folder. So what I'm going to do is copy an asset. I'm going to create a copy request and I'm going to copy this asset and create a new asset copy. Okay, so let's say I have to make sure I have all the authentication in place. In the headers, I have to give X destination. That is where I want to move this asset, and that should have the path which should start with /API assets and then wherever I need the copy. So I am going to copy it as an asset 3. Okay, and let's send it and see. So it says 201 created. We will go back to our assets folder and we will see. So you can see the copy is created. Okay, now similarly let's try to do a move. So I'm going to do a move. I will move the copied asset, right? So I'm going to move whatever this copied asset So I will do an x destination to /API/assets, and I actually have a folder here called test folder new. I'm going to copy that under this test folder new. I will say the name of the asset copied .jpg, so it will rename the asset like that, and let's send it. So when you do that, oh sorry, we have to make sure our authorization is in place, and we will send it. It says do not run created, and we will refresh, and the asset is moved. So we have to make sure the asset is moved, right? So means it is not copied but moved. See, here only two assets are there, and there we have one moved asset. Now the last operation which we are going to do is delete operation. So let's go ahead and delete one folder. Okay, so I'll go and I will do a delete, and I'm going to copy whatever API path I want to delete. So I will delete the test folder new. And do I need to send anything else? No. So what I have to do is I have to make sure my authorizations are placed. So I will just send a request. It says 200 OK. I'll come back here, and you can see that folder is deleted. Let's do curl command. My curl command, paste it here. So we are going to copy, and we will copy test folder, and we will say x destination, that should be /API assets /training 65 test folder copy. That's it, and we will send it. So if we go and check, you can see that is created. Now a final delete on that. We'll just do a final delete. So I'm going to delete that folder. Okay, test folder copy, and we are going to delete it. Okay, that's it. This is how you work with Assets API. I personally prefer more Assets API in the backend using Java code, which gives me more flexibility in updating asset or bulk updating and things like that. But if you have a very quick, suddenly you want to push one asset into the folder, or you're doing something, you have few assets in your repository or in some other system, from there they want to send the assets to AEM via some post command, they can always do that. Okay, so that's it for this video. Hope it might have helped you guys in some way. Thank you. Thanks.